this is Angie with Future Life Today, and Laurice is back with us. We're going to do a part 2 of our surrogate session, and we wanted to do an example of a CTT tapping to release the energies from that lifetime, and we're going to ask for some healing for the lady as well. And then we'll talk about what we saw and what happened. So, Laurice, do you want to start today with the tapping with the CTT?
Yeah. Do you want me to talk about CTT more before we do it?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about CTT, and it's compared to EFT. A lot of people have heard of EFT. I feel like this is stronger though. So
yeah, a lot of George, who originated it, thought that it was stronger too, and I learned surrogate from him, and so we always used CTT in surrogate. I mean, not that you have to or anything, but I mean, that's just the way I learned it. It's the technique we use to clear those things that we saw, because they have a strong emotional charge on them. And this emotional charge carries through lifetimes. And when there's an emotional charge like that on whatever issue it is, people steer away from it. They don't want to deal with it. They don't know how. They just look somewhere else. And so that for that reason, it never gets dealt with. What we were doing was looking into various lifetimes and pulling up those things that carried a strong emotional charge. And so now we're going to clear them. And so a lot of things that we name here are going to be, feelings. That's how you do CTT, is you pull up the feelings and then you discharge them with CTT. And that's how they're cleared.
And so if you want to know details about the lifetimes, you can go back and look at part 1. I'll put this as part 1 of surrogate session part 1 and surrogate session part 2. And these things can also be cleared by asking the high self to clear it. I like to go deeper and do things like not just asking the highest part of themselves to clear, but also CTT is another good way, and asking for some energy clearing is another good way. And then you also do like bringing back soul fragments. There's
I do.
several.
Yeah, I do soul retrieval, and that can be very
compassion keys as well.
I do compassion key too, which I feel like is pretty related to shamanic healing.
Yeah. All right. So you want to go ahead and say the little saying, and I'll.
Okay. So we're going to follow a template, and I'm going to lead it. Angie will follow me. And when we get to the place where all the feelings are, I'm going to ask you to read them because I don't have it.
Right.
Okay. So we're going to tap on opposite shoulders here. We're going to cross our arms and tap on opposite shoulders to do this. First, a couple taps on one, then a couple taps on the other, then a couple taps on one, and a couple taps on the other, like that. Okay. So tapping. There's a part of Sarah that knows how to.
There's a part of Sarah that knows how to.
Let go and heal.
Let go and heal.
Go.
Abuse, feeling unworthy, regretful, anxiety, not standing up for her power, not feeling good enough, feeling empty, not loved, not supported, regretful, sorrowful. There's this energy stuck in her throat, which is not standing up for herself.
Mm-hmm.
It's an unfulfilled life.
That part of her is willing to inform the rest of her now.
That part of her is willing to inform the rest of her now.
It's doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
Doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
Her mind, body, and spirit.
Her mind, body, and spirit.
Are receiving the love and healing.
Are receiving the love and healing.
Information, permission.
Information, permission.
And deep relief now.
Deep relief now.
I'm going to take a deep breath and imagine her living a really fulfilled and joyful life. Information transfer is now complete.
Information transfer is now complete.
So be it. It is done.
So be it. It is done.
I can feel quite a lot of discharge on this.
Yeah, and some people ask, can you do these clearings for somebody else? You can. I feel like it is better if they're aware and they're with us, but you can, because on a higher level, they're wanting to have this release. There's a reason that you came into their lives. So
yeah. And in the beginning, we saw that because we spoke to her highest self, and or she wanted to come in.
yeah. Yeah, so the person we chose today didn't come to me as a client. She came to me just as somebody I've known for years. And I know just by connecting to the highest part of herself, I'm helping like as a friend, like someone who's known her for years. So you can do that. And, before we started the recording, Laurice and I got on, and Laurice had a really good point where you said, you know, it seems like it's just a block put out there in the world where people say, oh, you really can't. You have to have them with you and have their oral permission. It's like, no, with the energy clearing I do, we just ask for a spiritual kick in their highest part of themselves, and we can go on and do the clearing, you know?
Yeah, I feel like that's an unwitting barrier. This is just my attitude that it may sometimes prevent people from doing what other people need. This is also my particular perspective here, but I do not really believe that we have the amount of choice or free will that it's said that we do. I think that we were meant to. I think that was the original design, but I don't think it actually happened that way. So sometimes if you intervene for the good of the person, that is what's needed. Now, I know some people might not agree with that, and that's okay. It's diversity, and everybody has the right to their own opinion. But that's the way that I look at it.
Yeah, and the thing is, we're not doing black magic or something. We aren't trying to hurt people. We're trying to do what's in the highest and best good. I actually had a client with me several years ago who said, "Can you just clear this lady out of his life?" I said, I've got to do what's in the highest and best good for all.
Yeah,
I can't.
Exactly.
Of course, I can't. You know.
And sometimes it takes
that.
Well,
you know.
yeah. It takes two to tango most of the time. In other words, if you're stuck in some kind of relationship with somebody and you're doing the dance around and around, you know, sometimes both of you need to be cleared. Yeah,
I mean, as far as clearing relationships, she wanted me to clear some other woman out of the guy's life. It's like, no, he's chosen to be with this person. My job is
you can't do that because it's your will over theirs, and that's not acceptable.
Yeah, my job is not to do black magic or control others. My job is to clear what's in the highest and best good if I'm doing the energy clearing. So my point in saying all that is, if we're doing a surrogate session, or you're saying, you know, I have a relationship with my dad, it's really bad, he's still alive, we can work to do clearing, or we can work to do a surrogate session where Laurice and I are working to do what's in the highest and best good for everybody to help. So
yes, and very often if one thing gets straightened out in somebody's life, it may ripple out into other people's lives. When you start unraveling, you know, all those knots, a lot of good things happen. Yeah, right. But you know, it's not going to be like okay, you want this person cleared because you can't stand something they're doing, and then but nothing is going to change in your life. That's not usually the way it works. Yeah, we
probably it's starting with you. So, and if that person's not willing to change, I'm just thinking more of relationships like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, that kind of like a whatever loving relationship. The energy clearing could help them to open up more for more positive communication or something, or maybe like it's time to leave the relationship, so.
Yeah, you never know. Everyone is every situation like that is in individual. When we do these surrogate clearings like we just did, the person doesn't normally know that it's been done, but sometimes things change in their life, and the reason they don't know is because they don't accept that type of healing, or they don't know about that type of healing, or telling them in some cases would do more harm than good, because then they would resist it.
Yeah, they may block it, but there also can be surrogate sessions where someone said, oh, I don't think I could be hypnotized, or someone tried to hypnotize me years before, and then they have a block, and it's like, well, let's just go ahead and do a surrogate session for you,
right?
Or do a surrogate session for a child. So
yeah, child, or really any relationship that you have a problem with, you can do a surrogate session for.
Yeah. So there's different,
or ask for a surrogate session.
Yeah. So there's different reasons. The thing is that we're not just in this physical body. There's a part of us, there's a higher part of us that's driving us, and there's a higher part of us that's wanting to connect and assist us and help us. So Laurice and I, when we're doing the surrogate session, we're connecting to that higher parts, and we're in that higher place. We can work on healing and releasing and moving into a better life down here in the physical world. So
yeah, it's taking the higher parts of a person into account, which normally in lives like that are really problematic hasn't been done, and probably hasn't been done for lifetimes.
Right. Okay, so in that session, we saw 3 lifetimes, and I did talk about when I'm doing a hypnosis, when I'm doing just a hypnosis with a person, I don't talk as much at all. I take whatever's coming to me and I form it into a question and ask them, because they're wanting to have the information flow through them. And then I may talk about what I was seeing and hearing and, realizing after the session, after they're brought out. So it was interesting to see 3 lifetimes. We were seeing anxiety. We generally are going to see lifetimes where there's some sort of theme that, has to do with this life. So we were seeing anxiety throughout all those lifetimes. Which is pretty interesting for her.
Yeah, anxiety, and extreme anxiety, I would say, and also no awareness of anything higher.
Yeah.
That you could that she could connect to resolve some of this stuff.
And she got to the 3rd lifetime where she just chose to not be married and not experience life. So she sheltered her off from experiences. And I would say that there's people like that here. It seems like the women I meet are more open to trying love over and over and trying experiences. And I've met more men who are more closed off to love, putting themselves out there as far as their emotions, their emotional contacts, whereas in work, they'll put themselves out there more. And I would just say anybody who's considering a session with us or a session with somebody, just go ahead and do it. Move forward, live your life. Don't live a life like the 3rd life that we looked at for Sarah today, where she just wasn't really connecting, living the full life that she could have lived.
Well, she was too afraid. I mean, the experiences that she'd had in the past, and she carried all that stuff into this lifetime, which a lot of people do because they don't know how to not do it. And then she was afraid to do this and she was afraid to do that. So what's left? Just sort of a blank slate. Yeah,
she wasn't reaching her full potential. She was living in fear. So here she is back again, having anxiety.
Yeah.
She's trying at love. She's married. She's a young married person in this life, but she did say she's not going to have any kids, which goes along with that. 2nd lifetime we saw where she committed suicide and she left her kids. So we feel like that's probably why at this point she's saying, I want to have kids, because she has that fear of leaving the kids, not fulfilling what she wanted to do. So,
and I think that in this situation that she's in, probably that was a good decision, because she needs to get her connections squared away, her connections with the higher parts of herself, and get all that stuff, heal in this life.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you want to share on about this? I think we went pretty into it in the last
we did
recording. So
yeah,
I would just say, if anybody feels like they want to do a surrogate session for themselves, if you feel like you can't be hypnotized, or if you have, a child or maybe a family member or friend that you'd like to, assist to move forward, then you can reach out to us, or you can reach out to us for, I do also just regular hypnosis or energy clearing. Larice does, we do CTT together, the tapping. Larice does some shamanic work, compassion keys. I don't know if you want to give a little bit more of what you do. So,
I approach things from several different angles, depending on what somebody needs. I have done soul retrieval for a long time, and I have a presence on Simbi, SIMBI. And I don't know whether you can see that stuff if you're not a member or not. That I don't know. But I do soul retrieval. I also do the compassion key, where you send compassion into the parts of you that are really struggling, really suffering for any reason. And it doesn't have to be the situation that, let's see, how do I put this? However you feel is what we work with. Some people say, well, it really didn't happen like that, or it really didn't, like so-and-so really wasn't trying to do that to you. Well, none of that counts. If you feel discounted, if you feel left out, if you feel abused, if you feel anything, compassion key, anything negative like that, compassion key works with that. It doesn't matter if it was actually technically real in this. A lot of times it is, but sometimes it's just how that person took a certain thing. Those things are taken into account in the compassion key, and we work with them, and we send compassion into those places.
Yeah. So it's about you. It's about you and how you feel.
Right. It's about you, and that's it. Right. It doesn't matter how you, some people are like, don't look at it that way or whatever. We don't. We just go right for the worst stuff, and we send compassion into it.
Yeah. It's interesting, because you've done compassion key when we do our call, because we have this every other Friday call that we do with a really small group, and the compassion keys is strong. I feel like when you've done that.
It's very strong. That's what I like about it. It's kind of in my view, it's kind of like a roto-rooter in one sense, because people are sometimes discouraged from looking at things like that you really feel that whether it's actually, the case or not, if it's how you feel. And some people don't want to, we go in the back door, so to speak. We go for the worst of the worst. And I think that's a really good way to clear something. I loved the compassion key when I first encountered it, and I'm happy to be able to do that for people.
Yeah, it's like people have got to be willing to look within yourself so you can move forward, and some people don't want to do that. I think it goes back to the man-woman thing. I'm not trying to bash men. I love men. I've had several relationships with men. I'm ready for the next one. But I think women, we're more open to like, okay, I'm going to go inside. I'm going to grab this crap and take these experiences. I don't want to criticize all of our experience. Take these experiences, take them out, and then work to, move forward with more positive experiences. So,
yeah.
Well, if there's not anything else you want to share, we can go ahead and close out for today, so that
all right,
some of our videos don't get too long. For some reason, my camera backed away and showed most of my couch here, and it panned in on my dog. I don't know why. A few minutes ago,
anybody would mind that.
I just had to smile because it was so funny because she's just laying here quietly sleeping. All right. So again, this is Angie and Laurice, Future Life Today,